And while you're gathering your supplies, go ahead and get on. We're 2 minutes to class, so we're counting down. But we're going to make sure you can hear me okay, and get your supplies, get your papers, your pencils, anything you want to make color. It does not matter. The colors, whatever. That's for you to just throw some color in there at the end of the class. So how does this sound, guys? Are you hearing me? You hear me? Because you're in the room. Because you're a good 6 foot social distance away from me. Can you hear me okay, Michaela?
Gathering your supplies.
Yeah. Okay. 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 So just everyone start gathering around. We're going to wait, but we're going to start right at 1 p.m. Central Time. And so don't worry, we haven't started class yet. And
thumbs up, they can hear you.
Perfect. Thanks, guys. Just so you know, we do watch your comments during the thing, and we try to adjust even if we don't answer them right away. Thank y'all so much for being a part of this. You know, you may be new to trying to do art lessons at home, and I'm new to making videos to teach you how to do art lessons at home. So we're all working through this together, and it's all going to come out awesome, just like all the work I've seen that y'all are sharing with me. So. Okay, good, good. We're trying a microphone. I feel all like official. Okay, hey guys, it's 1 o'clock and welcome to Art Lessons. Okay, before we get started, I want everyone to stretch. Come on, Chloe, stretch. That's right, even Keaton stretching. We've got Michaela and Gaby over here to answer your questions. Just so you know, we do read your comments that are coming on, and we try to answer them while they're live. When you're saying zoom in, Keaton's trying to move the phone and get us closer. When people are sending their awesome comments, like Diana, thank you so much. And we're listening to those. And also, oh my goodness, guys, the pictures you are sending me rock my world. I mean, literally amazing jobs. John's kids, I saw your pictures coming in. I saw Allison's. I've seen so many beautiful smiling faces, and literally, I can't even tell you, amazing artwork. I am so proud of all of y'all. Keep up the good work. It's been so fun to join you at 1 o'clock and come into your homes, and thank you for coming into my studio. So today, we're going to gather our pencils and papers, and we're going to talk about drawing houses, which is really my way to start learning perspective. So it's a big word on how to make things look dimensional. Ooh, another big word. But how to make things look like you see them with your eye. So what we're going to do with Chloe, my assistant today, and this is Chloe's last day. She's family friend and was here, and when everything shut down, she's still here, but she has to go home tomorrow and travel very safely. So we're going to miss her, but don't worry. I have multiple children that are going to jump in and do the job with me. So everyone have their paper, their pencils. We're going to start on our first sheet of paper and work through some exercises today. It does not matter how many times you repeat this on your paper. This is great for any age. And then we're going to move as many papers as you need to take this on. When we move to what's going to be more our finished piece, or where we're going to implement all the things we learned today, I'll let you know. So thanks again for joining us, and we're going to start. So everyone know what a square is. We're going to put a square, and I'm going to put the multiple things on my paper today. So if you see, you can do it that way. You can do it big or small, but I'm going to utilize different spots on my paper just to keep doing the demos for you. So we're going to put a square on there. Four-sided, just like that. Everyone got their square? Now, I want to tell you too, we record all these videos and we post them to Facebook at Make Paducah, and then we post them to YouTube on Kisa Houseman. And so you can watch them afterwards and slow them and speed them up. Sometimes I need to go a little quickly because we want to get a lot done in the short time we have together. So at any time, if I'm going too fast, don't worry. We're going to have them posted afterwards, and so that you can review that information. Meanwhile, I'll try to go as slow as I can to make sure we get everything in together. So we've got our squares. What we're going to do is we're going to draw a second square. And we're going to put that about a little bit above and a little bit to my right. Okay. Now we're going to connect all our matching points. Now, I'm sure some of you have done this in school. Maybe you did it not in art class, but you might have done it in a math class or a geometry class. And it's always fun when you see how math and science and art all work together. So essentially you have a cube, and depending on where you decide your opening is, it will be how it looks. So if I covered in this, like this, you can do this with me. It could be as though that was our, I'm trying to make this darker so everyone can see it, but as though that was our box that we could put everything into. So we're going to try it again, and we're going to do it with a triangle this time. So, oh, our other light came on. Can everyone give me a triangle? Excellent job. Now we're going to do that triangle again, up and to our right. How's everyone doing? Now connect your points. You see what happens there. Again, we end up with a three-dimensional object. So this is where we start learning how to get some of that dimension. Now we're going to put those together. Super fancy. So here we go. We're going to give ourselves a box. We're going to give ourselves that triangle on top. Now remember where we put our box, we're going to do the same thing with the box right here. And same thing with our triangle. Now, does anyone know what we're going to do now? We're going to connect the points. So here we go. Sorry, I look like I've got the leaning house over here. When I'm drawing up from the side, sometimes it goes sideways. Hopefully you're drawing flat, and so yours might not be as wonky as mine is today. But do you get the idea? Are you starting to see where our houses are coming into play? So just so you know, these are your basic concepts when you have, if you were building a house, let's say you were constructing it from Legos or cardboard or a gingerbread house. Maybe someone's made a gingerbread house before. You're putting the same size sides on your front and the back, same size sides on the sides. And then when you actually draw those, that's going to be how it looks. And sometimes what happens is we're going to start thinking perspective. So let's watch what happens when we change the size of our square. So we're going to do a square again. Now we're going to do a smaller square behind. So I'm going to put it all the way in this corner, and I'm going to do a smaller square. Everyone knows what comes next. Connect your lines. Do you notice how it starts to come towards you? You see how that works? And then we're going to try it again, but we're going to put an even smaller square. So I'm going to do it down here. Can everyone see down here on this part of the easel? Okay, same thing. We're going to put a square again. Now I'm going to put a tiny little square up here, Chloe. Okay?
Could you slow down a little bit?
Sure. Let me go ahead and connect the lines, and then I'll slow down just a little bit. Thanks for giving that input, guys. Now this is really hard. You've got to remember top corner to top corner and bottom corner to bottom corner. Okay, so while everyone's putting theirs together, are you starting to see what happens when we start doing the same shape repeated, but we change the size? Because what happens is when things go further away from you, they're still the same size, but your eye sees them as smaller. So just like your gingerbread house that has the same size graham cracker in the front and the same size graham cracker in the back, it's as though if you put that graham cracker 20 feet away and it would look this big versus the other graham cracker might look this big. So that's what happens when we start talking about perspective in drawing. This is kind of a really simple, basic concept in drawing itself, but sometimes you can end up understanding it just by doing simple cubes and shapes. Now, the neat thing is you can try this exercise with any shape you want to. You can draw a funky thing like this, but if you do a funky thing like this and you just remember you connect all the points, point, 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 see what happens? It's still going to look as though, oddly, it was a giant kernel of popcorn coming out at you.
You've got a lot of people going, wow.
So, but this concept, especially, I know our young ones sometimes get into this, and some of y'all, you've told me they can hang through the whole thing, and then sometimes your 4-year-olds are like, okay, got it, I'm ready to go. And that's fine. If at any time you get frustrated, put it down, take a breath, and just come back to it when you're ready. So, but this is a great exercise for any age to practice because you can see a shape you're doing that you might be looking at, maybe a square picture on the wall or a rectangular picture. Be impacted by that shape. Think about how you might draw it, and then do this perspective exercise to make it come away and go. So, everyone with me so far? We feel good? Why don't you, while I'm switching my paper, why don't you draw your own shape right now? Chloe, you can do this. Why don't you draw your own shape and try and put that second shape behind it and connect the lines and see what you come up with. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to do that. I'm going to switch my paper, and Chloe's going to do our demo for you.
A couple people want to see your page close up real quick before we switch it, just so they can see all the
Okay,
different
Keaton's
things
going to,
you did.
great, thanks y'all. Keaton's going to come up a little bit closer. So here's our square here. Here's our square here. And then remember, we go to a square here, and then a smaller square, and then a square here, and an even smaller one. Oh, Chloe is getting advanced over here. She's got a star. I love that. Now remember, when you have a star, you have points on the inside and the points on the outside. Does anybody have a question about a circle? What would you do in a circle?
There was a question.
Okay, we did have a question about a circle. Where are the circular points? So, it works the same way. I said I was going to switch my picture, and then I got so excited about this. So, y'all just hang with me. I'll do a circle real quickly. Same thing. Circle and a circle. So what we're going to do is we're going to connect the outer points like this. Outer like this, and outer like that. That will give you enough of that dimensional shape. You just go to the outer points. That's a little hard because on a curved surface you don't have a point, so you're going to go to the end and then still connect those together. See? We've got Chloe's over there. Perfect. So how did everyone trying their own shape go? We have lots of good ones? Awesome. Okay. So Chloe, does anyone have any questions? We're doing this live so we can interact and see what we can do and come up with that. So if anybody has any questions, if at any time your younger ones get lost in the details, have them draw those squares and those shapes and those stars and circles. You're also covering geometry while you're doing this. You're having fun. Just let that keep going. And so they'll still be good with that. Trust me, when you put this simple concept together, it really helps you visualize how to draw things. And remember from day one, all the way in day one, when I talked about how important it was that drawings are made up of little parts. Little parts. If you can figure out how to put those little parts together, you've got it. You've got it. You've got drawing in the bag. I know. I've already seen your work. Y'all already have this. So today we're going to talk about drawing houses. You've seen kind of a little precursor to where we're going, but we're going to put all that together and do a more simple concept that you can build upon and really have fun and decorate today. What this is based on, I'm just going to show you. I'll show you first and tell me this has glass on it so it might glare. Here's a sketch of some buildings that I did while I was on a painting trip. How's the glare on that? Can you see it? Okay. Here's just a quick sketch that I did in charcoal on a painting trip that I did to Scotland several years ago. I went and just did kind of what we're doing now. Turned my phone off, just went away and drew every day. And so it really helped me look at things differently. So that's why I thought we might do houses today. Then I take my sketches and I put them into a painting. So here's a painting I did a few years ago. Can you see that without glare? Of some houses. It's a looser impressionist, but if you start to look, just like every one of you is an artist and you're looking at these differently, can you start to pick out where we might have squares and triangles and rectangles, all those shapes that build those drawings together? So we're going to come up with a neat way to kind of replicate my trip to Scotland. And actually, I saw a couple people were from Scotland that joined us the other day. So if you're on here, hello. You probably watch it later because we have such a time difference. My nieces were born in Scotland. So hello to my nieces and the Presleys in Texas. And hello to Sarah that was drawing yesterday. And so I'm so glad you're here. And let's get to drawing our row of houses. So what we're going to do now is, everyone ready? Now you move to a clean sheet of paper. Get your pencil ready. And we're going to do a zigzag line. So let's just give ourselves a zigzag line like this. Ready?
Kim from Scotland watching you.
Oh, hello, Kim from Scotland. Oh, Scotland is so beautiful. So beautiful. Okay, so does everyone have kind of a zigzag going? Now we're going to give ourselves kind of a horizon line right here. When I say the word horizon line, that is a great term to learn in any kind of picture you're doing that involves a landscape or a street scene or something you might look at. When you look at the sunset, you see the horizon. Unfortunately, it's pouring rain here. If it's sunny where you are, say hello to the sun for me. I'd love to see it today. But when you look out and you see that line, like that line that's right out there, and the sun is setting, that's your horizon. So in any picture, when you have where the sky meets the land, or where your eye meets that surface, that's your horizon line. So we use that term a lot in art, especially in landscape painting. So this is going to be really where our houses are going to meet the road, basically. So now, if you will you've got your line and your zigzag. Chloe, if you'll just do this, we're going to draw vertical lines. That means straight up and down. And we're going to do this right here. Okay? Okay. Now, so we could stop right here and just have a lot of fun. Look, you've already if we started adding windows and doors and shutters and plants, you already could have a neat row of houses with just 3 steps. Zigzag, horizon line, vertical lines. So you could stop right here and you could have fun. You could go to town with this. This is kind of a fun one to keep playing and make wider and smaller and bigger. However, we're going to go another step because we need a little perspective in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to replicate our line. Okay, are you ready? A little bit over here. You ready? Come with me, Chloe. We're going to do this. Everyone see what we're doing here? I'm going to slow down on this one because this one can get tricky. Okay. Can everyone see that? Now, let's connect just our roof lines right here. Can you see your row of houses starting to come together? Now, you might be able to see some of these, so we're going to connect these. If you have any lines that connect, if not, these are going to be hidden right here, so we're not going to worry about those. Do you have any lines that connect over there? Just this outer one right there? How about y'all? You good? Okay, so here, let's put this here. Now, we're going to connect our triangles right here. Here we go. Connecting our points. So I'm going to go back over these. How's everyone doing?
Some of them have asked, like Ben wants to know about making the line darker. Can you tell them why you're doing it light?
Well, so I'm doing it lightly so that you potentially, remember I said no erasers? We're not necessarily going to erase that, but when you come back in with colors, you don't have to see it. If you do it dark, don't worry. We're going to go back over it and show you some things to do. I naturally, sometimes, because I draw every day, sometimes I'm doing things light. So thanks for letting me know, because I know where I'm going, but y'all don't. So that helps me to know how to show you a little bit better. Normally, I'm teaching classes to live students, and, you know, John will ask me a question. I can answer right there. Yeah, I sure can. Thanks for telling me. So if everyone catches up with me, and you get your row of houses, is everyone good? What we're going to do is we're going to do it. Now, I'm going to color in these roofs right here. So you can pick up anything you have that makes color. You can use black and white, or I can give you a marker, Chloe. I've got a whole tub of stuff right here. I'm going to grab a marker. So I'm going to give this roof some color right now. Now, as for things that make color, the purpose of these lessons is trying to do this with things you have at home. By all means, there is nothing dearer to my heart than new art supplies. Oh, I love them. I love them. Like the greatest gift anyone could give me is new art supplies. But I don't want you to feel you have to run out and get things. I want you to experiment and find out what you like about art. And then you can decide maybe at another time when you're at another place where you can pick up something you've enjoyed using. I can always recommend supplies. I had several people send in, are there specific things you recommend? Most of these lessons will be fairly generic because I want you to be able to utilize things you have in your home. There will be occasional time where I might say, oh, this would be really great if you had watercolor paper. Like tomorrow, if you have watercolor paper, that's even better. But if you don't have watercolor paper, any heavy paper, anything that can take, will make do. So, yeah, Keaton?
Could you slow down a bit and move to the side?
Yes, sorry. So, okay, let's go ahead and shall we give some more roofs? We're going to switch colors. If you only have 2 colors in your house or 1, we're going to color all our roofs. So any colors you want. How are you doing?
They are doing good. They're using colored pencils, colored
Great.
crayons.
And I know colored pencils take a little bit longer. So just fill in what you can. Sometimes if you're using a colored pencil, if you turn it and you use the side and you hold it just like this, I hold it and I put my finger on the tip, then I can get it to color evenly and wide. So if I hold it just like this, kind of grip it like this, and then place, what that does is that puts that pressure on that angle. I'll hold it just like this, and then when you rub it, it puts the lead closer contact with the surface. When you're drawing like this, you only get the tip, which is great when you want fine lines. But if you want to cover a wider area, if you do this, this puts that pointed area in full contact with your surface. So you can color more space. It's the same with a marker where we have these great tips. I'll hold that so you can see it. If you color like this, I'll do it up here, with just the point, and the same with the colored pencil, versus if I use that side and I turn it, I get a larger surface more quickly. So I'll show you the difference. So on the colored pencil. It helps too if you sharpen your colored pencils pretty frequently so you can get that side. So any questions so far?
A couple other people are asking, like, why are we shading, just doing a certain part of coloring?
Yes, we're just doing that right now. So what we're going to do is I wanted you to see the dimension of where we are. I wanted you to see, basically, because we had drawn in those other lines, to color over those and erase some of those lines so they're not distractions anymore. Now, I want to show you this. If you want your houses to be longer, let's say we wanted this, because right now they're very narrow. If you take this line and you project it out like that, you see what happens? And you project it out like that. Do you see how my houses are growing? Don't you wish it was this easy to add onto your house? I want a new bedroom. Just draw another line. So you just go like this, and you come down. And go like this. And you can make this one really long, and it can come behind. So try to expand that, then take your same colors, and we're going to make our houses bigger. Here, I might make this house bigger too. Maybe I have friends coming over. How's everyone doing? Okay. Now, just so you know, I always think of the whole family when I put these lessons together. So I think of things that might interest a 4-year-old and something that might interest a 64-year-old. Any of these, depending on how you practice them or use them, can be developed to higher level. It's the exact same techniques that I used in here when I might be using charcoal and really trying to get some detail. That can be the exact same techniques that you at age 6 years old are doing too. So you are doing the same things as a professional artist. It just depends on how much work and time you put into it. So we can do it quickly, or we can spend more time developing it. So let me make my house bigger. This is the house where everyone's coming to dinner, so it's the biggest. I wonder what they're fixing for dinner. Something yummy, I hope. Okay. So we get this whole concept of this line and this development. So now what we're going to do, here's the fun. We're going to make our houses. Now, when you think of your house, do you come in a front door? Do you come in a window? Do you open a window? Do you do those things? And not everyone's house looks like this. I mean, my house doesn't look exactly like this. You may live in an apartment building. You may live in, a 3-story home. You may live in a 1-story home. It doesn't matter because we're all using our imagination today. By all means, we can turn these into castles and live in castles today. We can turn these into tree houses and live in tree houses today. Whatever you want your house to be is what it can be today. So we're going to think about this house might have a front door. So now I want you to notice all our vertical lines are always going to stay up and down. But we're going to change our horizontal lines. So I'm going to keep my horizontal line in line with here, right here. Okay? And then maybe this one has a big front door because they have big dogs, and so a lot of dogs want to come in and out of this one. So I'm going to make a big front door. And maybe this one has a tall, skinny front door. Okay. And this one has 2 front doors. And this one where everyone's coming to dinner has an arched front door. How about that? So, we're growing our picture. This is not, I'm not doing a true perspective right here. We're just introducing that concept to you. We will actually do a perspective drawing next week where we do what's called a vanishing point and we take it away, or we get more into that. That's going to be a little bit, sometimes the younger ones can get lost in that. So keeping with that idea of the squares and connecting the lines is a great way to stay with anyone who's beginning in that concept. So now, what about some windows? Yeah. Think we'll add some windows? Okay. And maybe a window up here. Maybe a window up here. You can do whatever you want to. You do not have to copy mine. Please do whatever you are doing. Just thinking about adjusting those lines, keeping with your verticals. So how are you feeling, Chloe? Okay, I'm going to let y'all put windows in and I'm going to keep talking. There is a way to really develop this to a higher level. So if you're in a middle school or high school and you have some drawing experience, or if you're older and you have some drawing experience, what you might look at doing is start working on your shading. So if you don't want to hear about shading, keep drawing your windows and your doors. When you're talking about shading, it's just like what we talked about with the face. So remember the nose, the light hits the nose, the light hits that lower lip. The light is going to hit whatever it's looking at. So, for instance, I'm going to show this to you. Is there glare? Are we good? It's brighter on the front and darker on the sides. Bring it a little closer. Brighter on the front and darker on the sides because the light hits the front and then falls away on the sides. When you're shading, shadows are darker, light sources are lighter. So what we could do is, if you wanted to, you can start doing things like making entries into your door. So what you would do is you would shade underneath, and let's say the light is coming from here. That would be your shadow line. So there'd be a little shadow. You shade in your windows. There might be a little shading this way. You shade in between the houses. You can do these with your pencil, or you can do these with one of your darker pieces that you have.
Amanda has good questions. She wants to know if slanting windows is the same as slanting the doors like you talked about.
Yes, thank you, Amanda. That's a great question. If you can slant your windows, so we kind of have normally when things go away from you, they actually get smaller. But for demo, I made everything bigger for you today. And it's kind of fun to get a little bit quirky in this drawing style. But if I have this slant, if you notice it goes there, and then I have my horizon line right here. So, but as I get closer to here, I'm going to keep this line. So it's as though this line goes here, this line's here, if I had a line there, and it goes with that. In perspective, that would be going to a vanishing point, which we'll talk about next week. So, oh, Chloe, yours looks awesome. I can't wait to see what everyone's doing at home. How's everyone feeling? We're feeling good?
Yeah, good.
We're doing well?
I need to remind them that they can always watch it on YouTube and pause.
Yes. And if we're going too quickly, at any time, remember, we will post this right afterwards. And you can pause on some of the details and move on to the next step. We're going to put some chimneys in Scotland. It can get a little cold, like it can get cold in Kentucky here too. You may be in South Texas or in Florida or Hawaii and you're not cold at all, but we're a little chilly here today. And there's such a thing as a cold Kentucky rain, and that's what's going on today. So we're going to put in chimneys. Now, let's see. I think I will put a chimney here because this is light and I know I can cover it up. So I'm going to put that chimney in. Now, we're going to use our same technique we just used because it's going to have a little perspective. So I'm going to not put it all the way in. Remember that? Remember that box technique right there? Put our little chimney in. Just like this. There's your rectangle. So, now, and you can repeat that anywhere you want to along the way, and then I'm going to make my chimney darker so that I can just cover that in. It's smoking. So go ahead and start sticking those in. So how's everyone feeling? Are you feeling good? Now what I'm going to do, because I know we're getting to the end of the lesson, what I want you to do is to try and do this concept. See how Chloe has her shading in here? And you can see all her lines and all her chimneys. What you do is you start to get that understanding of how your buildings go together. You get some perspective in there. You get details. You get some shading. You've got a whole bunch of little parts because what happens is you can look at all the little pieces that all put the drawings together. So, what you can also do is you can do one of these just by itself. So I'm going to do this really quickly. I'm not going to walk you step through step, but we're going to leave it on the video and you can do it afterwards, okay? So while you're finishing up, or you can stop for a few minutes and put down your pencils and watch, you can still do a single house. In fact, Chloe, you can go ahead and just do yours on the bottom, but I'll do a big one. So if we've got a house like this, remember, we had our house that came like this. Do not feel you need to be copying this right now. You can continue on your drawing. We've got our house like that. Then we're going to put, remember our house? But I'm just going to do it very lightly because I'm not going to go all the way behind. Okay? Now remember how we did that and then we went bigger, so I'm going to go bigger because I'm adding onto my house. Here's our door. There's our windows. Here's our windows. Now, I'm going to start getting into, and I'm going to go adding details. I'm going to add my chimney on the other side.
Several of them are asking questions about shading the door. Is that what you're doing right now?
I am, yes. So anywhere, I was putting some shutters on too. But remember how we talked about, you know, if our light source is coming from here, light, like our sun, let's say our sun. So that's going to be right there. So this is going to be dark. Are we starting to get the idea? You can start doing whatever you want your neighborhood to be. But so the idea is, while Chloe's also sketching away, you can start adding those details. Oh, I went a little wonky while I'm off drawing to the side. Sorry, guys. I really do draw for a living. But what I want you to know is this is just an introduction. We've done something that's very whimsical today. There is some realism to this, but it's more understanding the concept. The next step is you start looking at your own house. And if it's sunny or dry one day, you can go outside and you can start thinking of your own house with the rectangles and the squares and using some of these dimensional techniques to put them together. I hope you'll enjoy playing with this today. It's also a great way to put your imagination to use. So let's say you can make any kind of house you want. You can build any kind of structure today with your pencil and your paper. I want you to try and do that. And then parents and caregivers, this is a great time to also pull that imagination with a little story time. Who lives in the house? What happens in the house? What's going on with that? So that might be a fun way to get through our Wednesday today and enjoy that. On that note, I'm going to let you get to drawing. Feel free to take all your colors, all your pencils, all these work together and layer them into your piece and have fun today. I hope you've enjoyed this. Tomorrow, we're going to get to watercolor. So get your paintbrushes. Any kind you have will work. We posted some watercolor, make your own watercolor links on the Facebook page. You can make those. However, warning, it takes at least 24 hours in a dry environment, up to 48 hours for them to dry. It's a great time to try, but they might not be ready for tomorrow's class if you make them today. So have watercolor paper ready for tomorrow, watercolor brushes, and some kind of watercolor. It doesn't matter if you have pan, tube, or liquid. We can use any of those. We're not specific. And we're going to play with some techniques. A couple hints. I will put some household items on the Facebook page later today. Things like a little bit of rice, a little bit of salt, things like that, which we're going to use to play with in our watercolors. And do not feel you can't join in the lesson if you don't have any of those things in your house. They're not essential to what we're doing. If you just watch, you can still take some techniques, you can take some of the ideas, and you can utilize what you have while you're home during this time and just enjoying that time with your family. So get to drawing, have a lot of fun, and remember, my favorite quote is by Philip James Bailey: "Art is man's nature, nature is God's art." See y'all tomorrow.